Hello everyone and welcome to the ABB Process Automation Podcast. Shipping is one of the world's oldest and most essential industries, carrying over 80% of global trade and connecting millions of people. But while the mission of seafarers remains the same, the way ships are run has changed dramatically. Today, digitalization is transforming maritime operations, from smarter logistics and predictive maintenance to real-time tracking and energy management. Ships are evolving into systems of systems where navigation, propulsion, and communications must work in harmony. In this bonus episode, we speak to Osku Kälkäjä, who is the Division Digital Lead at ABB's Marine and Ports Division, to find out about how the daily life of a traditional analog seafarer compares to that of today's digital seafarer. I'm Fran Scott, and this is the Process Automation Podcast from ABB.
This is an excellent question. Of course, we probably need to pick one time slot where to begin the story. But let's say 20 years ago, when the digital equipment started to be on board, every vessel had reasonable radars, but these were standalone systems. So there wasn't that many standalone systems on board the vessel. So you practically what you did, you made your route planning with the maps. So you actually had to have all the world maps, all the maps in the world. The weather information aboard the vessel, they came through a fax. So you were listening to the station, the radio stations, their kind of a weather information. You listen to the radio, so maritime radio, where you get the gale warnings and that sort of things. And then you collected the information from the navtex. And then you started to paint a picture, and you had to manually digest that information. Of course, you always digest the information manually, but you had to kind of create the picture between your ears. And then you had to make probably a change to your plans, to your voyage, for example. But nowadays, when we are looking at it, let's take the ABB's weather routing services, for example. Everything happens automatically. So you just give the system last port of call and then the next port of call, and it automatically makes the voyage from location A to location B, taking into account all the weather effects, probable safety limits for your vessel. So you probably have some sort of limits and in which sort of conditions you can move your cargo, for example. So everything is calculated together, and then the system gives you an updated voyage, and it takes into account all these different kind of external factors for the vessel. And the best part out of it is that it doesn't come from one single source. It comes from the different sources. So it gets the best weather information available, and automatically the algorithm checks that, hey, actually this route that you have now planned is not the optimal anymore. So change the route into this one, change the speed as well. The vessel is in a connection to the port, so the captain doesn't need to think about that how fast the vessel is going, because the algorithm calculates and gives the recommendations to the captain that maybe you should use only 12 knots instead of 13 knots to avoid the waiting time on the other end of the voyage. And then it might be that there is a sudden kind of effects in the night in the weather. So when it occurs, the system automatically gives you a warning that, hey, the route change is needed in order to avoid this kind of a rough weather. So it has changed quite a lot, but at the same time, the principle still remains the same. So the captain's job is to take the vessel from location A to B, but taking into account all these different topics. It has reduced the manual work on the vessel, but at the same time, I think it has also improved the vessel efficiency as well as the safety aspects on the vessel.
And just to go into detail on that a bit more, what effect has the introduction of these digitalized systems had when it comes to the safety and the efficiency within the maritime industry?
How I kind of see the biggest impact of it is that it frees the capacity for the humans to make the better decisions, because you do not need to take into account all these small bits and pieces, small fractions of information, and try to kind of make it a kind of a solid package of the information. That's how I kind of feel it. And let's take the safety aspects, for example. So when you have these kind of digital tools that you can plan ahead something, so it enables you to kind of take into account what is the characteristics of your vessel, and what are the kind of the safety limits that you cannot breach, and you want to stay within those limits. And now when you are doing the planning, what happened 20 years ago, you did the planning on the similar manner, but you had so much information that you had to put together that sometimes it happened that the vessel uh, ended up into the conditions that something bad happened. So this is something which I really see, I kind of really see that is the most important thing to improve the decision making of the ship's crew.
And that's really interesting because obviously, when it comes to this industry, obviously the machines are one thing, but also at the heart of it, it's the crew, right? And so, what are the psychological and social effects that digitalization has had on the seafarers? And how do they compare to the experience of seafarers of the past?
I used to sail, so I sailed for 15 years, and back in the days, the more experienced you were, the less risk you took. The bigger the vessel and the more valuable the cargo is, the more impact your decisions have. And of course, no one wants to make a bad decision, but at the same time, sometimes it just happens. And now with these kind of digital tools, and taking these digital tools as a part of your decision making, and give you more tools to kind of digest the information which lies out there, and get this kind of a more real time information about your surroundings. I think that's kind of the biggest thing, and the biggest effect for the people on board. However, we are none of us are getting any younger, and we see that when we are bringing in these digital solutions to the vessels, it also requires some competencies, how to trust them, and how to utilize all the information available, and how to kind of can I actually trust, because it's a machine who has made the decision for me. And there has to be a balance, because there has to be a balance with the experience as well as with these tools to help you to make a better decision. So uh, competence towards these kind of digital solutions, and how to kind of utilize them on the best possible way, that needs to come then from the system providers like the ABB, or these 700 software companies out there. So we need to teach the people how to utilize the information, and how to make the best decisions, by put something on top of it, like the experience, the several years of experience, and understand that machine also can make a mistake.
Absolutely. Because I can imagine from a psychological point of view, if the machine comes up with a decision that you agree with, then it makes it easier. But if it goes in the opposite direction, so it could help you with your confidence and decision making, or it could make you doubt yourself as well. So it goes both ways, doesn't it?
It definitely does. It's an interesting thing. When I started my career on a vessel, and I was sitting there, and I think it was my first time on the actual work, and you are there by yourself, or together with your colleague or watch officer. So, but there are two persons on a watch, and then you are doing your things with the radar, and then you are making a calculations, and you said, okay, there is a vessel there, and then you inform that, okay, I can see a vessel 2 nautical miles on the direction 356, for example, and then the watch officer, who has been sailing maybe 10, 15 years more than me, turned into me and said, if you just look outside of the window, you can see it's a rock. So it wasn't a vessel, it was a rock. So it's also how to digest the information, what is happening there. So and it comes with this kind of a practicing the things and utilizing these systems, but also verifying with your own eyes, for example.
Absolutely. It's using them as a tool, not as the final decision maker, isn't it? And still having that human overlay on top to actually make the final decision.
Yes, that is exactly how I think about this topic.
A huge thank you to our guest, Osku. And if you want to get involved and join us as an expert, follow the link to ABB's website in the episode description, where you can let us know your domain of expertise. I am Fran Scott, and the Process Automation Podcast is a Fresh Air production for ABB. Follow now for free wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode.